Hey everyone, welcome back to my monthly making podcast where every month or so I get together with you to show you everything I have been knitting, crocheting, sometimes weaving, and I'm so excited to be back with you finally this month. It's been a while. I think it's been an entire month, even though I had been doing twice monthly of these podcasts. For those of you who might be new, my name's Marina and I'm the creator and owner of Pineapple Yarn, which is a hand-dyed yarn and a home goods knitting accessories business here in coastal South Carolina. And we are really getting some cooler weather finally. It is really nice. It's beautiful autumn weather, perfect for pulling out all of the hand knits and crocheted blankets. And so it's given me a lot of enthusiasm and fuel to kind of finish up some projects that have been languishing for a while and also to cast on some new projects. But I am drinking a nice warm cup of tea. I have really been into tea. I mean, I'm always into tea, but I've really been into tea since it has been so cold here. And this is a new to me tea company, and I'm going to start carrying this in the shop because I really love it. It's by Wild and Tea, and it's called Quiet Mind. It's a very basic, simple herbal tea. So it has a few very good ingredients, but it's such a great tea to unwind in the afternoon or the evening. And the thing I really like about this is it's a loose tea. You can prepare it however you want. And I found these infuser sticks, which I really like. I don't know if you can see that. I will also have these in the shop during my shop update next week, but it's just such a neat way to prepare loose tea, and you can kind of stir it around. It kind of just sits in your mug, and it's a really nice new to me way to prepare tea, and I've really been loving this. So I really enjoy this tea in the evening, and it's just a clean herbal taste. I really enjoy it. I'll have this Quiet Mind tea as well as some other varieties in the shop. Perfect in time for autumn and for holiday giving, and of course throughout the winter. And I almost forgot, I still have a stock of mugs in the shop as well. So let's get started. I'm just so excited about all the things that I have finished. I have the biggest thing I think I've ever finished, and it only took me 3 years. I'm so proud of myself for finally finishing it. This is a giant granny square blanket, and I've been crocheting this for probably about 3 years. And it's so big. So why don't I try to stand up? I do have pictures on my Instagram to show you how big it is. I actually had to stand up on my couch so it would not drape on the floor. It's huge. So it is just a massive, massive blanket. It's such a fun patchwork. So many fun bright squares and dark squares and variegated colorways and tonals. And you know, the funny thing is about this is I don't know if I have one pineapple yarn colorway in here. I may have like 1 or 2, but most of them are from other dyers. So here's me standing up. I can't even get this in the entire frame. I certainly can't get it on the floor. How crazy, how big is that? It's so big. I have my floor limb behind me too, so I can't go any further back. I have really limited space here in the studio. But I used a variety of yarns with this. I used I think it was a G hook, which is a 4mm hook. And these are all DK weight yarns or fingering weight yarns held double. And these are all from row 1 mini subscriptions. So I did that for a while when I had taken a break from dyeing yarn. And that was so fun because those are already kind of wound into a little cake. And so that was really fun. So all I did to hold fingering weight held double, I just picked up the middle, you know, strain from the middle and strain from the outside and crocheted them together. Unfortunately, I am not detailed enough to remember any of the makers from the row 1 minis, but I really appreciated all of their talents. And a lot of these right here, you may be able to see this is a 2-ply. I know that one is from row 1. Some of these are from a Homespun House and from their Patreon mini skein subscription, which are, I think it's 3 10-gram minis. And I was doing that for a while, and I really love these. So you can tell, I think this is a Homespun House right here. How beautiful is that? Really, really nice. And then I also got some mini skein, 20-gram mini skein sets from Hue Loco, and those were really fun. So some of these, like this one right here, this kind of purpley color, and this one, they were in the same mini skein collection from Hue Loco. I have a couple of very vibrant kind of ultraviolet. Here's one. Like this one is from Hue Loco, and it was in a beautiful mini skein set, same as this one. That was such a beautiful set. So basically, overall, what I did is I took and I figured out with one of my small yarn scales, and I will link below some yarn scales. I do have some in the shop. But I just take a tiny yarn scale, and what I would do is I would cake up a mini skein and I would crochet it in the granny square style, just about, let's see, the initial round and then 4 more rounds in addition to that. And that ended up using about 10 grams. Now on some of the yarn, I was unable to get a full square from 20 grams. And I'll give you an example. So if I had a square, now this one, it looks like I was able to finish it, but if I had a square like this one that was a 2-ply, it is going to weigh more per yard to get a full square, if that makes sense. So if you're just using a mini skein from a yarn dyer, so a Homespun House, Hue Loco, Pineapple Yarn's the same way, they are always a little bit overweight. So your mini skein might range anywhere from 21 grams to 23, 24 grams. And so that gives you just a little bit of leeway. So I was able to get 2 squares out of each 20-ish gram mini skein. And so I ended up with so many, and I don't have them here with me, I have so many tiny little balls of yarn that I have kept, and I did magic knots and tied them together, put a little bit of fabric glue on the knots, and wound them into big balls. So I don't know what I'm going to do with those. I have no idea what I'm doing with those, but those are set aside for another time. Where I did run into problems is with it was only with row 1 minis, because they would they were probably taking 100-gram skeins and dividing them into 5. And so, for instance, like this one, when it was a 2-ply, if it is exactly 20 grams, I may run a little bit short, just because a 2-ply is a little thicker yarn, even though it's fingering weight. And so the corresponding weight is going to be a little more, yardage is going to be a little less, if that makes sense. But it was fine. What I did is all of this white yarn is from, I think it's from Knit Picks Swish DK, and it's just an undyed yarn. And so what I did is, if I did run short on a square, I just finished it up with this white undyed yarn, because I did one more round with the undyed yarn and I joined it as I went. So what I did is I did all the squares first, and I just crocheted, 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 and then as I joined, and I don't know which way is better, to sew them together or to join as you go. I guess there's advantages to both. But what I would do is I would do each cluster like this, and then before I went to the next one, I would just reach up into the next, or I guess the row or the round that is next to the round that I was crocheting, and just do like a slip stitch in there. And I didn't make this technique up. I'm almost positive I saw it on the Attic 24 blog. I will link her site because I think her site just changed, but she's such a wealth of knowledge with crocheting and she's wonderfully talented. But that's what I did to join all of these. And then at the very end, I did one more round just to kind of even up all the edges and to give it a little border. I did do one more round of the granny square stitch. I really can't tell a difference, to be honest. I think because this is 2 granny square rows, really. So if you're just doing one more round, it makes it look cohesive with the joined edges. But I didn't want to do one more. I was done by that point. So this is a massive blanket. I already, you know, it wasn't even 24 hours after I had it finished when I had family members who shall not be named claiming it for their own. So I'm glad that it's being loved, because it means that I can keep knitting blankets or crocheting blankets and they will always be used. But it was so much fun, and I'm very glad it's done, to be honest. It was really weighing on my mind, and I don't like languishing projects, and I actually really don't like long-term projects. I like to get things done in a relatively short amount of time. So it's good though. It's such a big project, and I'm glad that it's over. My next finished project is the Ranunculus that I had started maybe at the end of this, I don't know if it was the end of the summer, maybe in September I started it, but I think this is Ranunculus number 4, I think. And look how bright and fun it is. I will put all the details below, but this was one of my club colorways, maybe July or August. I don't have my notes in front of me, but it's just so bright and so fun. And my daughter had seen it and she wanted me to knit her a sweater with it. So what I did is I have just been obsessed with the Ranunculus pattern because I have been pairing it with a yarn that I am carrying in the shop now called Kinu. And so let me see if I can point out, it's more of the muted lime green, like right there. And so it comes in just a rainbow of colors. I have so much in the shop right now, but it is a beautiful silk yarn, not a shiny silk. It's more of a matte silk, but it's so lofty and so lightweight. And I knit this on a US 10, which I believe is a 6mm needle. And I also paired it with a sparkle yarn. And so I held 3 yarns together. The sparkle yarn is called Kremke Stellaris, which I also have in the shop. And it is so hard to pick up on camera. But I use this beautiful lime greeny, I think a goldy color. Oh, so this is such a fun sweater. And I did not alternate skeins. As you can tell on the bottom, there's a little bit of pooling, but I don't know if it is really that visible in real life. I have noticed that when I show things on the podcast, they're so much more, different details are more pronounced than they are in real life, which is very interesting. So I knit, you know, I don't even know all the details. I will put them below, but I had so much fun knitting this. And when we got to the arms, this was for my daughter who's 12, and she is smaller than me, but rapidly getting as tall as me. I don't know, for some reason I was almost done with the sleeve and I just wasn't feeling like something was quite right. And she felt the same way, like something was just off. And I said, what if we just did a little twisted rib bind off instead of knitting sleeves? What if we just did a little twisted rib bind off and left it as like, it kind of ends up being like a drop shoulder, kind of a short sleeve on her. And it is adorable on her. In real life, this is just the cutest boxy cropped sweater. And I don't know if I mentioned this is on my Nala sock base, which is a plump 2-ply fingering weight yarn. And when you hold all 3 of these yarns, when you hold them together and knit them on a 10mm needle, the resulting fabric is just so lovely. And I really love this also on my Lani sock base, which is a little bit thinner, but this is just, it's squishy, but it's almost like it's drapey. It's a really lovely fabric. And I have had so much fun this summer and this fall experimenting with different fabrics, and I have been knitting up a lot of gauge swatches. I have a video on my channel that's mostly just gauge swatches, and I have found that a US 8 or US 10 is just really lovely with this Ito Kinu and either my Lani sock base or my Nala sock, which are both fingering weight. And so I am so excited for spring to come because I know that these bases are just going to be so wonderful in the spring. Like it's just going to be so great. I can't wait to do like t-shirt sweaters, short sleeve sweaters, sleeveless shells. The possibilities are endless, really, and it's still cold in spring. You have to have a sweater, and I think that the fabric that this makes is just, it's just beautiful for warmer weather, or if you run warm. So many of us run warm, and it's just a really lovely fabric for that. So this ranunculus is done, and I have been resisting the urge to cast on another one. I want to cast another one on so badly. Especially when I had my new shipment of Ito Kinu come in, and I added more colors and I replenished all the colors that I had sold out of, and it's so hard. It's so hard to resist. But I had to stay good because I have other things on the needles. So the things I've been working on lately, I have so much. I have one of my big knitting baskets, and it's full. So I can't cast on anything new. I really need to finish up some of these projects because it's getting a little out of control here. So let's see what I have been working on. And you know, before I forget, I never said what I was wearing today. This is my first Forager sweater that I knit. This is a beautiful, one of my favorite patterns by Isabel Kramer. It fits awesome. The construction is so great. And I've knit 3 of these because I love the way that it fits on me. It will not be my last one for sure. I definitely am going to knit more. But this was extra special because this is all hand spun yarn. And if you can see, look how pretty that is. This was all hedgehog fibers, clubs, and their kind of mystery grab bags. And I spun this using a combo ply method. So basically what that means is I would just, you know, take a lot of the mystery bags are just pieces. They're not like an entire 100 or 110 grams of wool. And so I would just take pieces, spin them, and then I would have spools of a color or a mix of colors spun up, and then I would ply 2 random spools together, and then I did alternate the yarn that was created. I did alternate those skeins, and so if you can tell, and it probably is very pronounced here, or it's not in real life, but on camera everything is kind of exaggerated, but this, you can kind of see some stripes, and that's where I alternated those skeins. But this is one of my most worn sweaters. I think I started this in 2020 and finished at the very beginning of 2021, and I wear it all the time, even though it's maybe more muted than I usually knit or wear, but it's just so special. And it's funny because the colors were not muted when I spun them, but I think just mixing all the colors turned into kind of some browns and tans and muted pinks and blues. So it is definitely one of my most worn and most loved garments. So the socks that I'm working on right now, they're kind of a slog. I'm slogging along with these socks, and I think it's because of the color. They're just very muted, and but I gotta keep going on. I gotta keep going. These are a hybrid sock, a hybrid pair of socks. So what I did is I took the self-striping yarn, I cranked it on my sock machine, which is an Erlbacher Gerhardt Speedster, and now I've just split the tube, the sock tube, and I'm adding heels, toes, and cuffs. But this is a really lovely yarn from Nomadic. Is it Nomadic Yarns? I'll put details below because I forgot my notes today. But I think this is just a really gorgeous muted set of stripes because it is a blend of superwash merino wool and yak. I think it's the superwash merino, yak, and nylon. And so the yak adds to this and kind of gives it like an over-dyed feel, just really muted. And these are for my son, and so that's why they're so small. But look how cute this Progress Keeper is. Oh, I cannot tell you how much I love this. This, I will link this below. This is from Charmed and Dangerous, and I just found her shop on Etsy, and I love it so much. So I'm just still working on these. This gray colorway is Oyster from Pineapple Yarn. It's a really nice pale neutral gray. And I just have a leftover skein that I'm using. So here's where I am with both of these socks. I just split them onto my 24-inch, 2.25 millimeter Addi rockets. So I just really need to sit down and actually take time to do it because they don't knit themselves, shockingly. So I just really need to get going on them so he can wear them. He's 7 and he still loves hand knit socks and doesn't find them bulky and doesn't find them uncomfortable at all. He really, really likes them. So as long as he likes them, I would love to knit them for him. I also have this sock tube cranked up. If you've never seen a sock tube, this is kind of what they look like before anything's done with them. The yellow yarn is just waste yarn, and that will be removed once you pick up with your knitting needles and add either cuffs or toes. At the beginning, I usually do cuffs on mine to start off with, and then the other end. I've got to pick this up before any more unraveling takes place because it's becoming unraveled. But isn't that beautiful? With the tweed. So pretty. And I knit both of these sock tubes. I believe it is a 54 stitch cylinder. So normally I do everything on my 60 stitch cylinder, but this is 54 stitches around, so it fits his smaller sized legs a little better. And so I'm just going on with those. It's I just use a vanilla sock recipe. All the details are listed below. I knit all of my socks the same way. Really nothing different. I've been trying to do that every morning, so if you follow my Instagram stories, you'll probably see how much progress I'm making on the socks. And if I add them to my stories, then it kind of gives me a little bit of accountability. The next project I'm working on is a new cast on from the last time I spoke with you. And it is slow going. It's not fast, but I'm really loving this, and I'm glad that I just finally cast this on and didn't worry about how long it was going to take, and just do it for fun. But this is the Dagmar jacket. No, not the Dagmar jacket, the Dagmar Neck. Yes. And it's by Petite Knit, and I've wanted to cast on the Dagmar jacket for quite a while, but it's a long project. And so she came out with this Dagmar Neck, and all it is a front and a back with a collar and no sleeves, no sides. That's it. It's just a front and a back. And I've been loving this so much. I appreciate her talent as a pattern writer because I feel like she just makes things easy. So the way that the rows where the cables are crossed kind of all match up, and the rows that are just plain knitting match up. It's a very once you get started, you do not have to look at your chart. This is a very simple pattern, and I just love it so much. It is a beautiful texture. I love the honeycomb in the middle. Oh, it's so pretty. So this is the back right now. The pattern says it needs to be 15, a little over 15 inches. I am not sure if I'm going to do that because I always shorten my sweaters. And this is one size, which I thought was really interesting. So I was thinking about it, and I'm on the smaller end of pattern sizes, but if you were on the larger end of pattern sizes, I don't know if you would like this as much, and you may need to alter it a little bit. Either add a few more, I guess, columns of the purling in between the cables. I would add, right here, this is just a rib stitch. I would probably add a few more stitches to each column of this rib stitch. And I think, though I'm not to the neck yet, so I'm not really sure, but I'm wondering if you could add like a honeycomb or two on the edges. And then you could expand the size if you wanted, but I don't know. And I don't know if anyone would even have an issue with it. But I'm sure there will be comments on, if you looked on Ravelry, on different projects, you could get some more information about it. But I think this is so beautiful, and I'm so excited about it. And it's very slow. I've been working on it for a while, but I have not given up, even though it's probably I probably only do 4 to 8 rows a night, because the back is mostly purling. Of course, this is knit on this side because it's purling on the opposite, but it's just, consistency, and I'm not going to give up on it. I'm not giving up. The nice thing is if I ever wanted to knit the Dagmar jacket or something from, does she have a pullover? I can't remember. But if I ever wanted to knit one of her Dagmar patterns, I would probably know the cables pretty well, and they're very enjoyable, and so I wouldn't have a problem with that. Let me talk about the yarn I'm using. This is my non-superwash worsted yarn. I will link below. This is just an undyed yarn, and it's so beautiful. It's an organic, non-superwash wool, merino wool. It is so soft, and I almost feel like with a cabled pattern like this, it's almost too soft. I mean, it's going to be beautiful to wear, but it almost sometimes feels like cheating because it's so soft. Even though it's non-superwash, it's so soft. It's really lovely. It's almost just like a buttery feeling. It's so nice. So the nice thing is I will be able to wear this and I won't be too hot. And so when I wear this, and I will have my, you know, the collar and everything, it will be so great because I can wear a jacket over it and it will look like a sweater and not be too hot or too bulky, which is exactly what I need for this climate and this weather, because we just don't have so many warm days where we can wear like a thick sweater. Forgot to mention, this is being, it was called for a US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter, and that's what I'm using. And so it's a very tight, I guess a very tight gauge, because usually I use a US 6 or a 4 millimeter on a DK weight yarn. And so this is even thicker. This is, yeah, this is a worsted weight, because this is actually the leftover yarn from my Key sweater that I knit last year, if you recall that. But this is sized down even 2 needle sizes and a thicker yarn. Isn't that crazy? But I have to show you this little charm. How adorable is this charm? It's like a little cinnamon star, and it has cinnamon sticks on it and a pumpkin. Oh my goodness. And I don't know if you can tell, but the little star itself and the pumpkin are sparkly. Oh, it's so cute. That is also from Charmed and Dangerous. I bought a couple of charms from her and they're just gorgeous. They're so cute. So this is the Dagmar Neck, and I'm really enjoying it, and hopefully I'll have some progress to show you next time I film. But until then, I'm just going to keep on keeping on. The final project I wanted to share with you is an update on my granny stripe blanket. Now this blanket, I definitely used some instructions and recommendations from the Attic 24 blog, whenever it was a blog. I guess now it's more of a site, but I will link it below. And this blanket is all of my Pineapple Yarn Mini Mystery Club since I began it back in 2021, maybe 2021 or 2020, I can't remember. So it's been a while. So this is where I started. I started with a lime green chain, and I just, I took several tries on this first stripe to get exactly 1 and then 2 rows back, so 2 rows in total, with a 20-gram mini skein. And I am using a DK weight. So every month I dye 1 extra DK weight, and the Mini Mystery Club comes with 3 mini skeins. And so it's just such a great, it's such a great either one-time or subscription purchase. And it's so fun because you can add to a blanket like this, or to a project. You could do a granny square blanket. You can add to it and it's not overwhelming. At least that's how I feel. It's a very like attainable project. And I also know that I will continue to do this as long as I do the mini club. So this may be a long blanket. It might be very long. It's this wide right now. So here's part of it, and then here's the other part. So it's very wide. I think it would probably fit, it'd probably fit like a twin size bed, though we'll probably just use it when sitting on the couch or a chair or something. But here's where I am currently. I believe these purple stripes are from October. Is that right? Yes. These are from October. And so all of this is from 2025. And I cannot tell you how much I loved these 3 stripes. How beautiful are those? So the last time I showed you this blanket, it was maybe about 6 months ago. And I want to say I was down here somewhere. I don't have a charm or a progress keeper on it. I should, but I don't. And I want to say it was like maybe down here somewhere. And so every month I just add, I guess it's 3 more stripes or 6 more rows. And I just love how this has come out. And it's funny because I can look at, oh my goodness, I can look at every color. And I just remember what inspired me that month and what I was really excited about. And I love looking at like different colorways and thinking about how I want to possibly expand that into a full skein, you know, in a colorway I keep for the shop in the future. So that's the beauty of these mini skeins for me, is that I get to do a lot of fun experimenting and blending colors and seeing, you know, how different colored dyes will interact with each other, either in the form of like liquids or speckles. So I love being able to do that every month, and it's fun. So this isn't a huge blanket. It's not very long at all. It's still wider than it is long. It's getting fairly large, but crocheting just, I feel like it just eats up yarn. It really uses a lot of yardage. So yeah, this is a really nice substantial blanket. I'm using a DK weight yarn with this. I use the DK minis every month. You get to choose between a sock weight or a DK weight, and I use DK weight. So I use a G hook, but you know what's really funny is the G hook I use is a 4.5 millimeter. So I thought that was really interesting. I realized I have 3 G hooks of this. These are I think they're called Clover Soft Touch. I have been using these forever. But I realized that I have 1 hook that says 4 millimeter, but it's a G. And then I have 1 hook that says 4.5 millimeter and it's a G. And so I went and I checked what they say nowadays, and they definitely say 4 millimeter. And it's interesting too, because my 4.5 millimeter, I can tell it's older just because I can tell it's older, and it's heavier than the newer hook, which I thought was interesting. But I've always really loved these hooks. The current set I have is almost 20 years old. So it has just seen a lot of use, and they have held up really, really well. So I'll link them below in case you're interested. But yeah, I like the fabric that the 4.5 millimeter is making on this blanket. So I'll probably update you again in maybe another 6 months or so. But I won't be bringing this out every month because you can't tell that much of a difference. But maybe I should put a progress keeper in it so I can share it with you next time. I'll try to remember that so I can remember where I was at. But this is fun, and I'm not overwhelmed by this, I think, because the beauty in this blanket is in, the joy is in the making, and it's not in the using of this blanket, and I'm fully aware of that. And so I guess my expectations are adjusted where I'm not itching to use this or disappointed that it's not done yet or whatnot. So that's my granny stripe blanket, and it is very fun and colorful. But that is all I've been working on this month. I have been so busy with work this month, and I'm so thankful for it. All of the advent calendars are packed and shipped. So thank you to all of you who pre-ordered so long ago. And I think I ordered them, or I opened up pre-orders the end of March, which is crazy. So thank you to all of you who pre-ordered and waited so long and so patiently for them. And I hope you enjoy them so much. And so those are shipped and out the door to you. I do have a few left in the shop ready to ship in case you're interested. And I'm getting ready for a shop update next month or next week. So it will be the 21st of November at 8 p.m. Eastern at pineappleyarn.com. And before the actual update happens, I will send out a newsletter with everything I'll be putting in the shop. I'm so excited for this update. It will be the last update of 2025. So I wanted to make it so great, like really, really great. One thing I'm going to include, I'm going to put these tea infusers and the several different kinds of wild and tea. Just, I think they make such a great gift, especially if you purchase a mug with them. They're just so beautiful together. And I do have a stock of mugs, which is great. The one thing I was so disappointed a couple of months ago when I did get the mugs into the shop is that I was unable to finish my hand-woven dish towels to coordinate with those. But luckily I just pulled them off my loom, and so they will be ready to stock in the shop. And oh, they make such a beautiful gift as well. And really to treat yourself or others, they're wonderful. So I will have dish towels in the shop, and I will have so many sock sets. I dyed up sock sets. I dyed and dyed them. And so I will have so many sock sets. I'm going to have one of my classic autumn sock sets, which I wish I had in the shop earlier, but I didn't, called Southern Pumpkin Latte. And it's good year round, but it's such a fun colorway. So I'll have that. And then I'll have several holiday and Christmas themed sock sets, which are really fun because they have a pineapple yarn spin to them. So they have bright spots and they're tropical and they're just so fun. So I'll have those. And I will also have some holiday and other, not just holiday theme, but I think I'll have a variety of needle stoppers, which is just so fun to get your Christmas knitting and your holiday knitting and get it all themed, and so you can be cozy in the cold weather. And it's so fun to make a joyful and a fun atmosphere for all of your crafting, especially this time of year and into winter. It's such a fun experience and a fun way to treat yourself. So if you're not signed up for the newsletter, I have a link below, and I don't share your email with anybody. It just stays right here with me. But I hope to see you next week for the shop update preview, and I hope you're enjoying your knitting and all of your crafting, no matter what it is. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you next time. I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.